Golden State, for a 5th consecutive season, they're headed back to the NBA Finals. A historic run for Golden State continues.
You know, 5 straight finals, the historic nature of what that is, kind of crazy to think about.
That's what you play for. This is our goal every year.
We know 4 more wins defines your season, so you got to stay locked in.
Kevin Durant will travel with the team to Toronto for Game 1 of the NBA Finals, but he will not play. There he is, getting on a plane to Toronto. Here's head coach Steve Kerr from yesterday on Durant's status.
KD's not playing Game 1. I think we already announced that, and we'll see where it goes from here. This is where, you know, the fact that there's a lot of days in between games during the finals helps us. So we'll see.
Time to welcome in the one and only. I'm going to call him Doc Rivers. I know you call him Glenn, but I'm going to call him Doc Rivers.
Just to annoy him, actually.
He's from Chicago.
Coach, there's so much that's been going on about Kevin Durant and the Golden State Warriors. First of all, welcome to the show, but I got to ask you this question. When we talk about the Warriors, what type of team do you view them as without Kevin Durant, particularly with all of this noise about how much they're so good without him?
Well, they're still a championship team. You know, they've proven that before. They don't have the supporting cast that they had before Durant, if you remember. They don't have all those guys, but they're still a championship team. They're just not as good without him. Listen, I saw them in the first round, and I saw them with KD on the floor, and they're really good with him. So they're just
how are they different, Doc? Though there's something about them.
But they do it then. You know, when KD's on the floor. You know, Steve Kerr's a smart coach. He gives the ball to KD and allow him to be KD. When he's off the floors, when they have more movement. They have movement with KD as well. I think that narrative out there that they don't have movement when KD's on the floor is not true. They really do, just not as much as when he's off the floor.
It's interesting that you say that because, Magic, I'll ask you, both of you were point guards, obviously. He's a coach, but you were a point guard, is obviously a point guard, Hall of Fame point guard. My question to you is, when you look at this team without KD, what is it that you're seeing from them that makes the Golden State Warriors so effective without him?
Well, you allow Draymond Green to touch the ball more, right? So he gets the quarterback more than he would with KD. And Doc's right. There's no way that Golden State is better without Kevin Durant. I'm sorry. That's never going to happen. And anybody who thinks that is crazy. Now, what happens is the ball moves. You see Draymond will be at the top of the key. Clay and Steph will be coming around 2 or 3 picks. Draymond will decide where he wants to throw it. As soon as he passes, he'll go away and pick for that other guy. And Clay or Steph will come off of him. And it's consistent movement. They know they have to move more without KD because KD you can throw the ball to and he can make his own shot. Those other guys, they get it more on the flow or in a pick-and-roll situation.
It's the same thing with Phil Jackson and the Lakers with the triangle or the Bulls with the triangle. When Michael was on the floor, the triangle, they didn't run a lot of triangle.
Right.
All right? When he was off the floor, the triangle allowed everybody else to touch the ball and move the ball. That's all they're doing. It's very similar. It's just a different offense, but it's the same stuff.
And last but not least, they run the break more. See, because they know they got to get easier baskets without KD. Yeah. See, because now you're missing that weapon in the half-court game where you can just, the shot clock is winding down, throw it to Kevin Durant. He going to go get you a basket.
Draymond essentially said that. I mean, he said at one point, I don't know which series, I guess the last series, that they can get a little lazy because they know they can just throw it into Kevin, and it speaks to what they know they have. The ultimate weapon.
It's a great weapon. It's a great weapon.
All right, so what does this do? What does this do defensively? I mean, we just saw Kawhi Leonard effectively be the head of the defense that walled off Giannis Antetokounmpo and took him out of it. What are the responsibilities going to be now for Kawhi Leonard defensively? Where would you have him?
Oh, he's going to guard Clay, you know, and he'll guard Steph as well. No, I think he'll guard Clay more, you know, but he'll guard both. You know, the thing with Toronto, they have so much length. that they're going to be able to switch a lot of stuff. And that guy can guard each guy. You know, Siakam can guard. They have a lot of guys that can guard. So Toronto's going to be able to defensively switch a lot of things that will give Golden State problems.
I think that Gasol won't be as effective in this series. Ibaka going to probably play more, right? Because just what you talk about, his length, size, and his ability to still score. And he knows how to play Draymond. He knows how to play the Warriors. He's played against them. And also, the good thing about it, so has Kawhi. Kawhi has played against the Warriors. So it's no surprise for them. They said, okay, we know how to play against the Warriors. The thing's going to be the key is Toronto's bench, to me, is better than the Warriors.
That's where I was going, right, Magic, because, see, forgive me, because I know y'all working out all the time in the gym, you know, running. It's been a while since I've done it. It's been a while, y'all. I guess I'm asking this. Is it appropriate for me to think that when it comes to the Warriors, there should be some degree of concern for your lack of depth? I know we've seen Looney, Bell, Quinn Cook to a lesser degree, McKinney. I get that. But when you talk about the Warriors, you're talking about their core. And if Toronto uses their depth, isn't there a reason to be concerned about Golden State?
Oh, no question, because when you go to that bench, Toronto go with guys who can score and have been scorers, right? Fred is a scorer. You know, Ibaka can score as well as defend. So I think that they lean on their bench, Toronto, more for scoring than actually Golden State. What Golden State do, they leave a starter out on the court with the reserves.
Yeah, but that's the difference. That's the difference now without KD. See, when we played them in the playoffs, we couldn't wait for one of them to go off the floor.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, we knew we had Lou and Trez coming in. The difference is now without KD, there's only one on the floor. Before, what Steve did was he always allowed two to be on the floor and one the rest. And to me, against a great bench, it makes it difficult to do that.
Well,
and
that
that's
leads me
where
to
Toronto
this.
comes in. Yeah.
Boogie Cousins has been out since April 15, hasn't played since Golden State's second game of the playoffs against you guys. Do you put him right back in?
I don't know. That's tough. If he's healthy, you're going to play him. I mean, let's be honest. But it is tough. The other thing that we all miss is in our series, all right, by game 4, by game 3, we had to make a switch. We took our 5 off the floor, just like Magic was saying, and we started a 4, Jamaica, at the 5. You think of the next series, they did the same thing. Cantor wasn't playing as much. They started playing smaller, quicker guys. You just said Gasol. He probably won't play as much, and that's what happens. You have to match up to Golden State's movement, and you have to have someone up when those guys are coming off those screens, or they will kill you, and that's what we did.
Magic, talk to me about what it's like leading up to Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And it's two different scenarios. You got a team and the reigning defending 2-time champions that have gone to the Finals. This is their 5th consecutive year. You got a franchise in Toronto that's never been to the Finals. Kawhi's been there.
Yeah.
Serge Ibaka has been to a Final. Kawhi has won a Finals. Yeah. But for the most part, a vast majority of those guys have never gone to the NBA Finals. So what's it like for the two teams going into Game 1?
Well, I think that Golden State, they're relaxed.
Yeah.
They've been there, done that. I think the problem is more with Toronto because they don't know what to expect. Now it's more interviews. There's more ticket requests. See, outside obstacles might hurt Toronto. And I'm talking about just everybody pulling on them, everybody wanting something from them. Where Golden State, they said, you know what, we've been there, done that. We take care of our tickets ahead of time. We don't let our families come and bother us during this championships because their family has been through it. So I worry a little bit about Toronto being their first time. But I will say this, I'm worried about Golden State on that first game because I'm going to actually pick Toronto to win that first game.
Rust, right, Irvin?
9 days, come on. One thing that you love as a basketball player is this, staying in a routine and rhythm.
Yes.
And when you haven't been bumped, Doc, tell them, when you haven't been bumped on your shot, that first time you get that bump, you're off and the ref's not calling it, you miss every single time.
Yeah, and you can't do it during practice.
No.
Like the times you win early and you get all that rest is great. But just the routine, being out of it, and the intensity, it's even worse for a rest in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because when you jump back in the playoffs, it's not jumping back in the regular season at the All-Star break. You're meeting a team that has been in playoff intensity, and
That's
you've
right.
had 9 days off, that's a lot of off time.
Isn't this why, didn't Pat Riley take you all to Hawaii for like a camp?
Santa Barbara.
How did I get Hawaii in there?
He took us
But he
to
made
Santa
you have a
Barbara.
camp, right?
Yes, and we probably had 3 full scrimmages, games, with referees.
How did game 1 go?
Not too good.
Was that the one they lost by 40? Was that the one you lost by 40?
Well, we got beat by Detroit. We had all that time off. Detroit came in and beat us game 1. Look, if I was Golden State, I would want no time off. They were playing so well. Steph Curry was playing better than I've ever seen him play before. On fire, so relaxed, letting the game come to him. He was shooting outstanding. Draymond Green was making all the plays, averaging almost a triple-double in that Portland series. And I tell you, the guy who really probably got helped with KD going down was Klay.
Yeah.
Klay now knows he's going to get 20 to 25 shots again.
Yeah, the third guy on any dynasty never gets as many shots.
That's right.
You know, Ray Allen didn't get as many shots as he used to. Chris Bosh. That doesn't mean they're not as good. Yeah. But there's always a 1 and a 2 and a 3, and that guy doesn't. I was in the same situation as Nick Nurse in a lot of ways. Like when we went and played the Lakers and won the title, we had a bunch of guys that hadn't won. And for me, it was about them seeing that this was part of the necessary dream. So it wasn't about, I didn't want them to think about you're playing in the NBA Finals. I wanted them to think this was necessary to play in the NBA Finals to get to where you're going. And so Toronto, if this has been their goal, this part of it should just be part of the process. And that's the mindset they have to have going.
By the way, the last coach in the Western Conference to beat the Golden State Warriors in a 7-game series.
How about that?
That tells you how good. That tells you how good they are.
We got a lot of discussion. We got a lot to talk about this upcoming NBA Finals. Coming up on this Sports Center special, Kawhi Leonard has been straight balling this postseason, but where will his help come from in the finals? Magic, Doc, Wilbon, and yours truly discuss all that and more up next.
On planet Earth.
They get it to Leonard. Fall away for the win. Got it! I'm on the mission. I'm on the mission. Watches over Giannis. The Raptors are the Eastern Conference champs.
Can we work him in a lot?
Kawhi Leonard is averaging 31 points per game this postseason, dropping 30 or more in 11 of his 18 games. Only one player had more 30-point games entering the NBA Finals in NBA history. That would be Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon with 12 in 1995. Kawhi is no secret to the Golden State Warriors. Here's what Coach Steve Kerr had to say about him.
He was already pretty damn good. Finals MVP in 14, I think. So he had become a full-fledged superstar 5 years ago. So he's been a great player for a long time. He's clearly one of the very best players in the NBA, and he's playing at an incredibly high level now.
He's a scorer, and he plays at his own pace really well. You try to speed him up, try to show him bodies, or play him one-on-one, and he has confidence to be able to get to a spot. So it's one of those things where one-on-one defense, you got to take that challenge, whoever's guarding him, try to force him into tough shots.
Guys, we've seen Kawhi Leonard. We've seen him perform. There is just no question that this is one of the greatest players in the world. No question about it. Is he the best player in basketball at this particular moment in time?
Well, I think that, if he can win this championship, it'll put him right up there with LeBron and KD. I think that Kawhi is doing it on both ends, man. And what we're seeing, too, is a guy, now because of basketball, it's about three-point shooting. Kawhi gets most of his points on twos. But he always get to his spot, and I don't care, even if you beat him there, he's so big and strong, he gonna bump you off and still get his shot off. And what we really love, Doc, is that he plays both ends of the court, and he makes always the right read.
He is the most like Jordan that we've seen. Like, there's a lot of great players. LeBron is phenomenal. KD is phenomenal. But not that he is Jordan or anything like that, but he's the most like him. Big hands, post game, can finish, great leaper, great defender, in between game. If you beat him to the spot, bumps you off, and then you add his 3-point shooting. You know, so you know, I never get in that who's the best player. Right. You know, Magic is the best player. You know, Michael Jordan was the best player, LeBron. But it's that same group.
Well, let me go to you with this.
Yeah.
How do you defend him if you're the Golden State Warriors?
Yeah. It's tough. And that's, to me, what everyone's missing about KD.
Yeah.
That's the part they're missing. Because, you know, Iguodala's going to have to do it at times. Clay, the one thing Golden State does have, they have a lot of good defenders. So it'll be Clay. It'll be Draymond. At times it'll be Iguodala. But it will not be a KD, and that's a problem.
Doc, I wouldn't put Clay on him.
Yeah, just size.
This is what I would do. You get yours, Kawhi, because you're going to get him anyway. Stop everybody else.
Which has been done, by the way. We've seen that in smaller doses that happen.
Yes, because remember, Toronto goes through long droughts of not scoring. So I would save Clay, never get on Kawhi. He's not big enough to handle Kawhi. He's great on the perimeter, but Kawhi is so smart, he'll just bag him down, get to a spot, and jump over.
I want to be clear about what you're saying. Are you saying, Kawhi, if you're going to drop 50, go ahead and drop 50?
That's right.
Stopping everybody else?
That's right.
It's a little different, though, with Kawhi because he's so efficient.
Yeah.
You know, like, I've always, like, high volumes guys, get yours. That been always, you can get as many as you want because it's not an efficient 50. Kawhi is efficient. You know, and that's the problem. But I think all those guys will have to guard him at some point because you really don't have. Iguodala's going to guard him the most.
Exactly.
If healthy.
And probably Draymond. Because I would save Clay. Clay needs to score and be able to move around.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really sacrifice Clay and put him on.
I'm scared of Draymond getting in foul trouble.
Well, foul trouble, but also
whoever guards him is getting in foul trouble.
Kawhi in the last series, he only played the first couple of games healthy. I mean, he was noticeably limping to the point where Nick Nurse had to go to him and say, are you going to go? And Kawhi every time would say, of course I'm going. But we're talking about quad and knee injuries. He was, I mean, on one leg, he was the best player in that series, which really spoke to how great, to me, Kawhi Leonard was. Yeah. He didn't even know which leg to favor and limp on in games 5 and 6. And
let me peel from that. Let me peel from what you just said to go back to Doc and Magic on this. Knowing that, if you're the Golden State Warriors, don't you prioritize pushing the ball up the floor even more because of that reality? Even though you got a few days rest to heal yourself, if the guys got those plethora of injuries,
that's the only way. That's what they have to do anyway.
Yes.
Okay. You know, one of the things when they're really good, Golden State, is when Draymond Green or when any of them are pushed. When they start running and getting the ball up, not only do they score early and getting early points in the playoffs, easy early points is hard to get. When you can get them, you can get them. But it also gives them 20 seconds to run their offense and their movement, opposed to our whole key was trying to get them to 14. If we can get them to start their offense at 14, it's easier. But Draymond was smart enough to know, push it up, get them in the stuff. And that's what one of the things Magic was saying is with the ball in Draymond's hands more, it's hard to slow him down. There's not a lot of fours that are going to be up turning the ball. They know that. And that's Golden State will try to score early offense, and that's going to be a key to the series.
It's two things. That type of pressure in transition, whether the Golden State Warriors score or not, what they're doing is wearing you down.
Yes.
Pat Riley used to say this, Irvin, I don't care what happened for the first 3 quarters. Because I know in the fourth quarter, that team that we're playing against is going to be tired because we run. Golden State is the same way. Their best offense, really, in their defense is their transition game.
And their movement.
So you see them as having a fourth-quarter advantage unless Toronto's bench can really help out early enough in the game so that their stars, Kawhi,
or if Kawhi dictates pace.
Well, you don't want to get in the fourth quarter game with Golden State anyway.
No, nobody's going to beat them.
Because they've been there. Like, they know every set. They know every ATO. Like, that's where you get yourself in trouble. Getting in a one-point game, the difference is with Toronto, their one-point offense down the stretch is Kawhi.
Yeah.
And so they at least have someone that may be able to match their greatness on one end.
And then I would say this. Kyle Lowry played an excellent series against Milwaukee, and we're not talking about him. Remember, I love his toughness. He's greedy. And also, too, his shot selection is good, right? He knows who he is, and he's going to get you 16, 18 points, and he's tough as nails. Now, what they have to do is the young fella, Siakam, he's key. He's got to have a big series. Because if he doesn't have a big series, there's no way they score enough points to beat Golden State.
I want to get back to Kawhi in this respect because y'all talked about his poise. Y'all talked about his efficiency. They rave about his patience.
You're not speeding him up.
You're not speeding him up. And I guess what I'm asking is, that's exactly where I was going. Is it possible that the Golden State Warriors could potentially try and speed him up, not let him play at his pace?
They haven't been successful. Remember this.
Right.
The last time Kawhi Leonard was on the court against Golden State in the playoff game, San Antonio was up 25 at the half.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt, and we don't know where that was going. Golden State was hugely favored in that series against San Antonio, but they were up 25 in game one, and Kawhi Leonard was having his way.
They're not going to speed him up, but what they will do is they're going to send someone.
Yeah.
You know, they're saying they're not, but I'm going to tell you, someone's coming. They're not just going to sit back. For 3 quarters, they are.
Yeah.
But very similar to what they did to Lillard, where they were sending that extra guy. It wasn't a trap. It was almost a corral, a late trap. They're going to do that because they know down the stretch they can't let them beat.
And that's where you got to give Steve Kerr credit. Man, listen, he coached his butt off in that Portland series. And he will come up, just like Doc Rivers said. I hate to call him coach, but Coach Rivers said.
Doc's good.
Doc is good. Because, you know, you my boy. Yeah. So he will come up with a scheme and a plan to try to disrupt Kawhi. But he knows he can't stop him, just slow him down. But those other guys are going to be a key for Toronto. Can Gasol get some points? To me, Siakam is still the guy. I'm telling you, if he has a big series, this series will go 7 games.
I'm looking at him and the ability to hit spot-up threes, and that's where Siakam is a threat, and I give you that. The only question I have when we get back to Kawhi is that as efficient as he is, as lethal as he is, y'all said he's primarily a 2-point scorer, going up against 3-point marksmen. But he's Steph Curry and Clay. I know he can hit the 3.
Kawhi's a great 3-point. I mean, he's above 40% 3-point.
And they always seem to come in critical times.
Yeah.
Offensive rebounds and threes. Kawhi doesn't have a volume, but you look at the impact he had in those 2 areas in games 5 and 6 for Toronto against Milwaukee. They were critical.
I guess what I'm asking is, can the Toronto Raptors beat Golden State with Kawhi being primarily a 2-point scorer, if indeed they're able to take away that 3-point shot?
Yeah, I think they can, but I think Kawhi's going to give you both. I think when you look at his points, he makes 3, 4, 5 threes a game. He sprinkles in everything else. He gets to the foul line. So my answer is yes, he can.
Yeah, and I think also, too, Golden State, I think in the half-court offense, Golden State, they're not going to get as many threes against this team because Toronto can switch. Yeah. See, they can do something that most teams can't do because you can remove Gasol off the court and they still will have a great lineup out there with Serge playing center. So I think that they're going to switch everything.
Ibaka, Siakam, and Kawhi.
Exactly.
Obviously, you got those guys can switch everything.
They can switch everything.
And when Gasol's on the floor, they're going to go to Gasol.
Yeah.
They're going to use him. And so that's going to be the key for Gasol. How valuable can he be offensively on the floor when he's on the floor? If he can't be, then you're going to see more of a box.
Well, see, what I would do is put Gasol in when they bring the second group in. That second group, then play him a lot because he can keep up with those guys.
See, this is what you see. I'm trying to tell you. I'm learning basketball. I'm learning basketball here. Doc Rivers, Irvin Magic Johnson, of course, the great Mike Wilbon, and myself. You have to take a quick timeout. But coming up, Klay Thompson was salty about not making an All-NBA team, and it literally cost them millions, like 30. Will he take his frustration out of the Toronto Raptors? We'll talk about that next. Keep it locked right here. Sports Center Special with the fellas. Let's get it.
Kemba got it. You were a couple.
I mean, that's cool and all, but, like, when you go to 5 straight finals, I respect those guys, but when you go to 5 straight, I mean, it takes more than just a couple of NBA guys. It's like an all-time team, but whatever. That's not. I'd rather win a championship than be 13 All NBA. So it's all good.
Clay's ineligibility for the Supermax deal shrinks the Warriors' bidding leverage over other teams this summer. When he becomes a free agent, the Warriors' max offer will be $190 million over 5 years, $30 million less than a Supermax amount. But that's still $50 million more than any other team can offer for a guy that's averaging 19 points per game this postseason. Look, y'all. Permit me to go first take mode for just a second. As a member of the media, I think it's an absolute disgrace that we're in a position to cost somebody $30 million.
Amen.
Having said all of that, it's a disgrace. Having said all of that, outside of the first 7 games of the season, when he scored, he was averaging like 14% from three-point range, only 15 points per game, 39% shooting from the field. Last 71 games, 22 points, 47% from the field, 42% from three-point range, and you're on a 2-time reigning defending NBA champion. I don't understand how he didn't make all NBA 1, 2,
I'm going to tell you how. I'm going to tell you. Because I have a vote like you do. And I was just telling Doc this.
I want to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had my ballot back. I'm going to tell you who I voted for, third team. I voted for Kemba Walker and Kyrie Irving. Those are my third-team guards. And part of this, Steve, you know this when you're considering a ballot. You're looking at teams. Yes, I give extra consideration to guys who are on winning teams. But also then you look at a guy who can't be on a winning team and is doing the best he can and has him close, which is the Kemba Walker situation. I think that's how we describe that. Bradley Beal, another one who's got this designation tied to his money. One, we shouldn't have it. That designation should not be tied financially
at all
to any player in the league, and the league has to change that. But then you look at this, and I have the ballot back. It's a regular season ballot, just like everything else we vote for. Regular season. And now I wish I had it back because I would have voted for Klay Thompson. Who would I left off? I'd have left Kyrie off.
Yes.
But that's a postseason reaction. That's a reaction to his postseason, what I consider failure. And I would vote for Klay Thompson, and I'm sorry I did it the way I did.
That's not fair to the guys that did make the playoffs. Because
I know
it's a tough. It just shouldn't be connected.
But I would say because they're so good, it worked against them.
Yep.
And
because the team's so good.
Yeah, the team is so good because you have the fans that love them. Like I love watching Golden State play. They play the right way. They play together. The style is up and down. And, of course, they can shoot. Listen, Klay Thompson is one of the best two-way players we got in the game. And if you line up all them 2 guards, I'm taking Klay Thompson, right? Because that guy going to give you everything that you want. Who else would say, come KD to the team and I'll take a back seat? I'm going to be the one who will suffer because KD came to the squad.
Well, let me say this to go to Doc. When you say that, one could make the argument that Klay is the best 2 guard in the game because everybody he's been compared to is a 1. You got the Kyrie, you got the Damian Lillard, you got the Russell Westbrooks, you got the Kemba Walkers of the world. You got Harden.
He's a 2.
You could say he's a 2, but Dan Tony treats him like a 1 because he touches the ball every daggone possession.
But you wouldn't have voted, but I know you voted for Harden instead of Curry first team.
Yes, I did.
And it's okay.
But that's okay. Because they deserve that.
Exactly.
But Klay deserved to be on that team.
Exactly.
Make no mistake about it.
Doc.
And I keep saying it's that third guy. You know, the Warriors win for one reason. They have talent, number one. But they have cooperation.
Yeah.
And when you have cooperation with the players and the coach, and they buy in, like Curry, and this is the point people miss about Steph, and I don't think we give him enough credit.
Right. Unselfish.
We keep not talking about him being in the top 4 or 5 players, and he is.
Yes.
All right?
Easy.
But what he did has never really been done. The last year that they lost, that was to us, the ball was in Curry's hands all the time. The following year, Steve Kerr comes in and talks him into buying into a new system. He gave up the ball. What's the stat? He gave up the ball 55% less, and he won the MVP by giving the ball up more. So he didn't have the ball in his hands. What he learned is movement. That's cooperation. That team, when you watch them, they have bought in to who they are. They trust it.
Yep.
They trust their coach. They trust each other. And that hurts Klay in some ways because he doesn't have the ball as much. He doesn't get as many shots. But he is a great player, and he's one of the top 15 players in our league.
Go ahead, Magic.
The toughest situation for Klay right now is this. When he did struggle in the beginning, he didn't touch it enough to get out of his struggle, right? He didn't get up enough shots.
That's so true.
So a shooter needs to shoot, right? And we talked about Steph struggling up until we got to these playoffs, and he said, oh, no KD, let me show you what I'm all about, right? And he's been playing great. It's the same way with Klay. Klay now knows he's going to get to his 20 shots, and he plays the game the right way. Listen, man, these dudes are will go down as one of the greatest teams ever to play this game, no matter what happens in this series, right? If they win 3 in a row, man, you got to now, there's a debate, on your hands on if they're the greatest that's ever played.
I'll close the conversation by saying this. As great and phenomenal as Kevin Durant is, one could argue the Golden State Warriors' top priority should be to keep the Splash Brothers together because of how they feed off of one another. Just a thought. Just a thought. Think about that. I got bills to pay. Got to take another break. But next on this SportsCenter special, our final thoughts, plus the details surrounding the high school star who said no to college basketball and yes to getting paid overseas. All that and more coming up. Stay tuned.
I love Toronto. I love this team.
I don't think Giannis has Drake on his playlist.
I don't give a damn about no damn Drake night.
And I promise you a Canadian team is going to the NBA Finals. We love you guys.
Drake antics a factor, y'all. Drake antics a factor. Time to pick the series, fellas. Time to pick the series. Magic, I'm going to start with you. Toronto versus the Golden State Warriors. Who you got?
The Warriors in 6.
Why?
Listen, I'm never going to pick against the Warriors, man. They just know how to win. Steve Kerr, best coach in the series. You got these guys who want to prove something to everybody, that they're the best in the world, and they want that three-peat in the worst way.
Will Bond?
Really, there's a team that has 3 championships in 4 years come in with a chip on his shoulder, but the Warriors do have that.
Yeah.
They have that function. It reminds me of his teams, of the Bulls teams, and which always won in 6, it seems. I'm going to say Golden State in 6 as well.
Doc Rivers?
Wow. I'm going to go Golden State if KD is healthy. If not.
They're talking about KD might not be. We don't know whether KD will be back.
Wait a minute. He's about to drop something on us.
If not, I'm going to go Toronto.
In?
07.
Wow.
Because 7 is in Toronto.
Nice.
Home country advantage.
Yeah.
Okay.
The NBA's never had this.
Okay. First take. The man of the hour. The man who called all of us to come on the show tonight. Who you picking, Stephen A?
Oh, it would be nothing to think about if Kevin Durant was playing.
Ooh.
But because he is not playing, I'm looking at Toronto. It's going to be tough. Remember when Magic did that fight years ago when they asked him to pick him between Julio Cesar Chavez and Pernell Whitaker? He said Julio Cesar Chavez is a bad boy, but Pernell's my boy. But he's bad, but this is my boy. But, I can't. That's what he said. I ain't going to go that far.
Okay.
I'm going with the Warriors.
In?
6. Because I don't believe they can win a Game 7 I don't believe they can win a Game 7 in Toronto if they let Toronto get it that far.
If Fred can stay hot, I think that's going to be the key.
Why? I also think Kyle.
All right, I got to go. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Thank y'all so much. That's it for the SportsCenter special.
Yes,
I'll be at all the finals games. Check me out from 7 to 8 p.m. hosting SportsCenter from games 1, 3, 4, and 5, 6 if necessary. Up next, it's the 30 for 30 qualifier.